So a lot has happened in the world of broadcasting. Like we had Jim Nantz on the show. This was going back to the Farmers Insurance Open here in San Diego. This is probably late January. And at the time, Tony Romo was being discussed as being a guy that was going to be recruited by ESPN. There was going to be a lot of money on the line. Ultimately, Jim told us that day, hey, Tony's family, he's with us. We want him back. And that's ultimately what happened. Romo comes back to CBS to go back to work with Jim Nantz. But the money was being discussed as if he was a ball player, not as if he was a broadcaster. You don't ever hear, hey, Kevin Harlan just signed a new 5-year contract worth this much money. This is much as guaranteed. This is what it costs against the cap. You don't hear about that. But in Tony Romo's case, you heard about the numbers. And then you heard that Peyton Manning was being recruited by ESPN. And there was a possibility of ESPN trading NBC for Al Michaels. So there's all these kinds of transactional things happening in broadcasting. What is your opinion of the money that has all of a sudden exploded pre-corona in the broadcast world with this Tony Romo deal?
Well, as you know, because you're in it and you're knee deep in it like I am, Romo is kind of this like once in a generation type guy. Like the whole world has been searching for the next Madden. And there's some terrific analysts out there. When Gruden was doing it and Collinsworth is doing it right now, and certainly Troy Aikman over at Fox. And I think that when Romo was brought in, CBS had so much invested in him because the summer before he began, as you well know the story, they worked with him unlike any network has ever worked with a first-time analyst. I've never heard, until Romo, a network working with a brand-new analyst, a guy that came right off the playing field or the court into the broadcast booth. I had never heard it. They may have done a practice game in preseason, but not like with Romo. They flew to Texas to meet with him and have him do simulated games off a screen. The crew, the producer, the director, Nance, they all flew and they met, and they had done hours and hours of practice and walking through the different things the machines and the trucks do. So CBS, this is like a homegrown, cultivated CBS branded guy. And I just think they had so much invested in the Romo experiment, coming from the field, never having broadcast to the number one job. Are you kidding? It happened with him. And sure enough, it's paid off. And I think they felt, if someone from NCIS or someone from any of the shows that CBS has, you know what those actors make for one show? And it's like they make millions and millions of dollars per show, which is a widely known fact. So really what Romo is making is $1 million a game in the regular season, right? There's 17 games. Mm-hmm. And then you throw in maybe a preseason game and then playoffs and perhaps a Super Bowl, but CBS's turn. So if it's $1 million, is Romo and the jolt that he gives a broadcast and the way him and Jim work together and the notoriety that he has received and the time and effort that CBS has poured into making him what he is, in addition to the God-given talent of his, personality. Yeah, you know what? That's probably, to be quite honest, a lot of money, sure, but in the realm of things, how much money they're paying for these broadcasts, as you well know, that's worth, to have him as your signature analyst, that's worth a lot. And they showed it. And my guess is, I'm not sure what Drew Brees just did with NBC, and I'm not sure what ESPN's going to do and where Peyton Manning falls in that. But you can bet that is going to be a standard now that a lot of people are going to shoot for. And there are going to be play-by-play guys, too, that feel, well, wait a minute. If he's worth that much, and I've been on the series, I'm not saying this is Jim, I'm just saying this is anybody, in the years to come, they're going to say, I think I'm pretty important, too, although we all know that no one listens for a broadcaster. But for sure, but we know this. If they don't like you, their voice is very strong and loud and resonant in the ears of the people that hire us in New York. So I guess I'm surprised because we had never seen a number like 17 million before. At the end of the day, when you start to plug and connect A to B and B to C and C to D, as you know, you can see where that would make sense. And how it shows his importance. He signed a long-term contract and sends a message to the NFL too, for sure.
I think you just described this so brilliantly, because what you ultimately got to was what I wanted to talk about, which is if you're the play-by-play man, your job is now, hey, look, part of the reason he's so valuable is because of what I do. It's called the team. It's called a partnership. You know, I'm the guy who helps shepherd him because he was this first-time broadcaster. It gets me to the play-by-play guy and the future of the play-by-play guy on TV. And you mentioned ESPN. And there's rumors out there, Kev, I'll put you on the spot. There's published reports out there that, hey, maybe ESPN is going to try and come get Kevin Harlan and Kurt Warner for Monday Night Football, because everybody loves you guys on the radio. For me, it's my favorite assignment when I get to work with you guys on the radio.
We enjoy it.
That's people have put that out there. If I'm your agent, I'm going, hey, Kev, you know what? You got a Sunday game. You got a Monday night radio game. I mean, hey, Monday Night Football could be so gigantic. We don't have to do all these other jobs. Is this really happening? Is it around you, or is this all just rumor, speculation, and media? What do you say?
Well, it was around a little bit, and I don't know what was said between my agent and CBS, but I have just signed a 5-year deal with CBS. So I love it there. I love it there. And I was never approached that I know of by ESPN. I was never told that. There are a lot of people because of the radio, because of Monday Night Radio. But Scott, you know me, first of all, let me just say this. ESPN has got a countless number of great, sensational play-by-play people that they can get in-house. And it looks like that's the direction they were going to go from the very beginning, whether it was Joe or whether they go to somebody else. But it will be an ESPN person, and it should be. They have developed so many great young play-by-play guys who are now in the throes of their career, and they will hire someone who will be brilliant and great in that position. But two things. Number one, this will be my 23rd year at CBS.
Wow.
I've never been happier and to be with a company, and I've had the same boss, Sean McManus. He's your boss when you work with at CBS. I wouldn't trade places for anybody. I really wouldn't. I mean, sometimes don't mess with happiness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not, and I love where I am. But the second part is that I love doing that radio. And the truth of the matter is, on TV, Scott, you know this, is that the play-by-play guy on a telecast is really fourth. The picture is number one. The analyst is a very close second, maybe 1B, but certainly right up there. Third are the replays, the graphics, all the bells and whistles that we see, the vignettes. And fourth is the play-by-play guy, quite honestly. The play-by-play guy he's setting them up, but the impact that they have on a game is minimal. It may be important for that one signature play of a game, and that's where they earn their money. But the truth of the matter is, if I'm watching at home, I want a Romo or a Collinsworth or a Kurt Warner. I want them to tell me what the quarterback saw, why he saw it, what he was supposed to do, why it worked, why it didn't work. And those are the things, because we have so many educated fans out there, that really a play-by-play guy's job is to identify, give a couple factual nuggets about the length of the game, where the ball is, what the penalty means, revamp the storyline as the game is going on. Has it been reshaped, or does it hold its water? Is it still intact? I just don't know. And that's just the nature of a TV play-by-play guy. The good ones stand out. The bad ones irritate you. But the analyst, at the end of the day, becomes kind of the guiding force. They've got the hand on the rudder, and they're steering it because of what they exude and how they exude it and how they explain it. So we've had great play-by-play guys, right? But they rarely have the jarring impact that a Tony Romo has had at CBS because of what he brings. Like, we expect excellence from Jim Nantz because that has been his calling card all these years at CBS. He's the voice of the Final Four and the voice of the Masters, and is the number one signature voice on football. and you've come to expect that. But when you get something that's outside the box, like a Romo, who does it differently than anybody else, all of us play-by-play guys, we pretty much do it like the other guy. There's not a great deal of difference, but there is an incredible difference I see here, watch, in the analysts and what they bring and what they know and how much homework they've put into it. On radio is where I feel I really get to stretch my broadcaster legs, because on radio, it's you are in charge. You have got your hand firmly on the wheel, on the rudder, and every adjective, every inflection of your voice, the emotion you show, the pacing you have, the reporting skills that you possess, those are the things where the radio announcer really earns his money, because he's responsible for everything that you're watching on TV. And the analyst role on radio, as you know, is perhaps not as great. But then you work with the Kurt Warner and then and Boomer Esiason, and you say, man, they give so much, you know it. But at the end of the day, the radio play-by-play guy is probably the single most important thing on a radio broadcast. But on TV, I see it as number 4. And the analyst is right up there with the picture that you're watching with your own eyes.
Wow, dude. Oh, my God. You just had me in a trance. Oh, my God.